People ask the question, how in the wealthiest nation in human history could we possibly still have so much need? We're face to face as we walk through our cities with the homeless crisis, child welfare crisis, incarceration, poverty.
We've kind of lost hope in humanity.
This is Dominic and Jedidiah, and they haven't given up hope. They see effective nonprofits at work in all U.S. cities, but many seem to be acting alone, without access to the resources or the volunteers needed to make a city-wide transformation. Their new idea? Form an unlikely partnership with the 235 million Americans in the faith community.
The core of the faith community is to love the neighbor or to activate generosity at scale.
Oftentimes, our faith communities are disconnected. They're not united around addressing the greatest issues facing our cities. But we believe people want to unite. They just don't have the playbook and they don't have the roadmap.
Together, they formed Love Has No Limits, an organization that would unite faith groups to serve alongside nonprofits. Their first step was a massive experiment in Los Angeles.
There's incredible human beings in all these cities that for years or decades have been trying to make a difference. And they've been doing it alone and they've been doing it isolated. And these are the moments that say, look, there's actually an army of us. And if we can unite the power of collective might, what's really possible?
It won't be easy, but if they can pull it off, could this new model be the way to actually solve some of the greatest challenges facing America?
This is Stand Together Presents stories, ideas, and advice from changemakers tackling our biggest challenges.
The United States has spent over $16 trillion in the last 60 years on poverty-related programs and has seen almost no results. So, what's different about the approach these guys are taking?
We believe in people. We believe that people closest to the problem are best positioned to solve it. And so when you think about actually empowering an individual to serve their community and solve its problems, government and top-down, unfortunately, is just so disconnected, and there's so many relational layers that are missing that it can actually never really serve and solve that problem well.
Of all the institutions best positioned to bring bottom-up empowerment, it is the faith community.
And the faith communities in America outgave the government of America to developing nations in the past year, outgave them by 40%. So that the action of generosity is there. The challenge is they often just don't know how to work together, and they really don't know where they can enter into the conversation.
Here's how it works. The test of their strategy started in 2019. Dominic and Jedidiah first held group meetings with the nonprofits throughout LA. They identified the poverty, child welfare, and city restoration projects they would tackle if they had additional support. Then Love Has No Limits approached Los Angeles faith groups, outlining the concept and providing training for volunteers. In their playbook, houses of worship would become service centers to collaborate with the local nonprofits.
The way we're uniquely able to come into a community or a city and bring diverse spheres of influence together is we function as a platform of trust. We're not trying to be the hope, we're not trying to be the hero, we're actually trying to be the back-end support to bringing all of these groups together.
After a year of behind-the-scenes collaboration, Love Has No Limits brought everyone together in a massive campaign called One Day LA, the largest collaboration of volunteer service Los Angeles had ever seen. Over 20,000 volunteers worked alongside local nonprofits and businesses.
There's almost like this wind of energy that says, I'm not alone. We have people in LA that were a block away from each other, that didn't know each other, two different diverse organizations, maybe didn't value each other. And now they're working together in their communities to where they can make the greatest difference together.
One major goal was to bring empowerment to families in crisis by identifying the supplies needed to close child welfare cases.
These were families that didn't have bad parents, but simply poor parents, and didn't have basic necessities like a bed or a bed frame or a dresser, which is a thing that the city could actually remove a kid out of the home. 2,000
families stepped forward to foster or adopt children in need. They also formed relationships with over 5,000 experiencing homelessness, connecting them with programs that led to housing.
One of our convictions as a movement is we're not gonna treat people like a problem to be solved. Instead, we're gonna come around people and bring relationship, bring holistic community support to individuals to bring true empowerment.
At the end of the day, we're able to put on probably the most outrageous humanitarian relief campaign in a city where we had endless amounts of critics that said, that's impossible here.
Love Has No Limits is planning to launch similar campaigns in more cities. The results in LA have shown the lasting impact that can come from facilitating a network of relationships between faith groups and local nonprofits.
I think when we look across America and look at our cities and think about all the different entities and roles community champions are playing, we really see these as an energy grid of resource, of services and solutions that can be provided. And I think faith communities and NGOs are the greatest example of that. And we realize that when you create a vision large enough for anyone to be a part of it, it allows there to be a lift for all ships, all organizations.
It makes it so sustainable when you build that way that the people driving the initiatives long-term are fixtures in the city, and they're gonna be there 5, 10, 15, and even more years from now. And as people continue to work collaboratively, continue to work intelligently on addressing challenges facing our communities, there's actually impact happening. It's measurable, it's evident all around us, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what's possible.
Stand Together partners with changemakers tackling our biggest challenges. To see more stories, follow our channels. And to learn more about how you can partner with us, go to standtogether.org.